Hey guys, what's up? Today we do have another box from Olight, and we're going to take a look at a brand new product from them that, believe it or not, I'm actually very excited about it. So let's get into it. Alright, so yes, this is from Olight. So I know a lot of people are on the fence of Olight, like it or don't like it. If you don't like it, don't watch the video, don't worry about it. If you do like it, I'll appreciate you actually watching this and gleaning from it what you will. All right, take what you will with a grain of salt, because this was provided to me, and I will say this is the very first time any company has offered to actually pay for the ammunition of all times. Right now, they're going to pay for the ammunition for this review. So again, take what you will with a grain of salt. I will say whatever I want to say about this, and I've told them that I don't know how many times. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. So we're going to look at it, but I need to give those caveats beforehand. But even all that being said, I'm super excited about this. Okay, so let's get into this. They reached out to me a little while ago. This is actually just a couple days ago. They're pretty quick on this stuff. But they reached out to me to look at this new light. This is the Odin GL. Hopefully this is not washing out in the light. But the GL, and they didn't say it right away, but I figured GL. They just released the Balder Mini, which had a green laser. I'm guessing the Odin GL is basically an Odin with a green light, or a green laser. I was right, I was correct. So, this is what this thing is. If you read off the specs, I'll throw a picture in there for you guys, but basically, it's a slightly longer version of the Odin, of the full-size Odin. It's a little bit longer, that has a green laser. It has 1,500 lumens instead of 2,000, has a slightly less long of a runtime. Right? Or, yeah, it has slightly less of a runtime. The other one was like 8.5 hours. This is 6 hours or 6.5 hours, depending on if you use the laser or not. The laser only eats up 30 minutes of the battery over that 6 hours. So it's 6.5 hours without the laser, 6 hours with the laser, according to them. You know me, I will test that and I'll put that information in here. A little windy. Hopefully it's not too bad for you guys. And usually I would be doing this back at the house, right, on the little workshop bench thing. But this, we're trying to rush out and kind of get this information to y'all to you. But we'll look at it under there when we get all done and wrap everything up. But anyway, I have cheated a little bit. I went ahead and kind of looked at it, kind of read some specs on it, and I went ahead and fully charged the battery, but I have not turned it on yet. Okay, I wanted to save that for here. So you get your little sticker thing here. Bring this guy in. The satisfying thing of peeling the sticker off. Yippee skippy. Let's put this guy away. It's a little windy, and there's other people out here shooting, so you might hear stuff. But this is your Odin. I have my other Odin somewhere. It's in this box. We'll compare it later in a little bit, but it's just slightly longer. This portion, I think, right here, the dimensions are just slightly different. But as you see, it says Odin, Odin GL. I don't know what serial number I got, 251, whatever, who cares. But you see up here, you have this little bezel, not the very end of it moves, but this little collar right here, kind of like on the Balder S. Yes, the Balder S, you can switch between just the laser and light, and the light. And it's on this collar, not the very end. The end doesn't move. So that's kind of nice. That's kind of nice. I think that'd be less likely to accidentally bump the end. Make sure I'm saying that right. I think having it on this little collar would cause less issues of accidentally turning it on to what you don't want it turned on. And if you turn it all the way to one side and it's just the laser, that's better than having an ND of a big light. I don't know. I know what I'm trying to say in my head. I don't know if it's coming across. You got these two little set screw area things here. Not really set screws, but these are how you zero the laser. You can see the laser in there. It's got that on this side. There's that little black spot. That's where the laser is. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Now, again, I said I haven't turned it on. Looking at the specs, I'm not sure where the specs are at now. Looking at the specs, I think it's on the inside. This is a 5-watt laser. So according to the paper, this is the same laser that's on the Balder S. That's the only thing so far that I've seen without using it yet that I'm like, you think with all this power potential you have right here, you could have a really bright laser. I don't know if that's the legal limit of what you can have as a 5-watt laser. I'm not exactly sure, but we'll see. Anyway, so we'll see if we can even see it. I'm going to shine it back in here. It's the first time I'm actually using this guy, but it's on the laser. I already took out the stickers, so it should work. There you go. Hopefully you can see that. There's the laser right in the back of the truck. Laser on my hand. This is in daylight. So this is why I'm saying it would be nice if this was a little bit more powerful of a laser, because you start pointing it down here, I'm sure this is getting extremely washed out because we got some bright sun going on right now. But if I try to point this over on the rocks back out there, yeah, you can't see it. Even if you know where you're looking, you can't really see it. But it's not really what this thing's for. I assume this thing is gonna primarily be really good for inside, right? For dusk or dark, not for outside backlit with a bunch of white rocks. That's like worst conditions ever to have a laser, but you can see it right there. So anyway, that's the laser itself, the laser and the light, and then just the light. And I'll do some nighttime stuff when the sun goes down and everything. I'll actually do some nighttime stuff and show you, because yeah, there's the light. You can't even see it because it's not even on. I was just pointing that at my face. Thought I turned it off. Oops. Anyway, that's this guy. What we're gonna do, I mentioned they wanted to do a, they paid me for the ammo, right? And they had specific stuff they wanted me to do. They wanted me to do 500 rounds, and that's what we're gonna do, 500 rounds. I'm gonna do 250 rounds of 9mm, 250 rounds of 5.56. So we're gonna shoot it. I'm gonna replace the light on my 11.5-inch Disser rifle pistol thing, whatever you wanna call it. So I'll replace this light, we'll run it, we'll zero it, we'll run it, and then we'll check the zero at the end to see if the zero shifted or anything. This could potentially replace this light, although this guy I think is more powerful. Actually, I think he's only 1,000 lumens. This guy's a little bit smaller in the capability of having a laser. I kind of like that. I kind of like that. For the 9mm, we'll show you here in a minute. It's going to be the MP5-ish looking thing. Don't worry, everything is legal. Everything is fine. I am properly licensed to do the things that I'm going to do, and we are at basically a public range, but we're in a nice bay that is surrounded by dirt. It's a very safe, good place to shoot. So any people that are worried about safety stuff, don't worry about that. We're gonna get into this. We're gonna start with the 5.56 and get to doing some zeroing and testing. Let's do it. All right, guys, so we are in a pretty bad position where we have the sun right here, and it might cause some issues and stuff, but we got everything loaded up. We have this thing basically slaved to the red dot. I'm not a laser expert, I don't know what we're doing, but I'm just gonna slave it to the red dot and see if we can hit the cardboard paper over there. And if that is somewhat of a zero, and if it holds, then we'll just get to ripping on some targets and do some drills and stuff and get 250 rounds in. Hopefully this gun cycle's just been having a little bit of issues. Hopefully it works just fine. All right, safety up, and let's roll. All right. Didn't lock back, but that was 30 rounds. Let's go check it out real quick and just kind of see what a very rough 30 rounds did. All right. Okay, so I know you're not gonna be able to see everything, but here's my group. I was aiming right here, a little bit low. So they were all shooting a little bit high. But in general, that's a fist-sized, hand-sized group. Can you even see that? I hope you can see that. That's kind of a hand-sized group, which means we should be able to play around with that and shoot some steel. So we're gonna load up a little bit. Steel case doesn't always run super well in this gun. As you saw, we already had one malfunction. I hope you saw it. It was just a failure to extract or eject. We're gonna try to work through this. Hopefully there's no big issues and stuff and it doesn't take away from the rest of the video. But now that we have a rough zero, it's shooting about a couple inches high at 25 yards. I'm gonna leave it like that. Just leave it there. Know that if I'm aiming right in the middle, it's gonna shoot about a fist high. We're gonna run with that. We're just gonna run with that. Let's get shooting some more stuff. All right, guys, so here we go. We just finished firing 220 rounds, right? We got the last 30 rounds. I think it's 30. Yeah, I think it's 30. 30 rounds. Got mini bikes and all kinds of stuff flying around here. So anyway, we're gonna fire the last 30 rounds into the cardboard, paper, whatever, and hopefully it is maintained the same group, right? We fired these rounds pretty quick, heated the gun up pretty good. I mean, the gun itself is actually pretty hot. It should be wearing a glove. But we'll see if that changed anything, right? 250 rounds is not a terrible whole lot, but it's enough that if something's gonna go bad in 250 rounds, then that means something's wrong. But anyway, we're gonna fire these rounds into there and see if it maintained 0.
That will not function. That will not function.
All right, so hopefully you can see this. This is our first group. This is our second group. Group size, pretty much the same. You got it's a little over a fist. It's like a hand, not a fist. So a hand and a hand. I'm not counting individual bullet holes. I'm just not going to do that. It does appear that our 0 shifted slightly left. Now I was just aiming dead center. I did not have like a bullseye or whatever, something to aim. I'm just aiming dead center, you know, crossing the thing in half. So having a slight shift, even though it's consistent, right? It's not like it just opened up the group. It moved over basically that much. We're gonna do a centralized point of aim with a 9mm and get it dialed in and make sure for sure. And then and we're gonna have some fun with that one. The 9mm is gonna be very interesting. If anything's gonna break this thing loose, that 9mm is very thumpy and it shoots very fast. You'll see what I'm talking about. Let's get into it. Check. All right, guys, so here we go. This is the 9mm we're gonna use. This looks like a hodgepodge of things because it is a hodgepodge of things, but be understood, let it be understood, this is completely legal. I'm not doing anything I'm not supposed to do. I am fully licensed and taxed to do the things that I'm doing, okay? So stuff happens that the gun shoots really fast, it's supposed to, and it's legal, don't worry about it. All right, so moving on. It's a 9mm, right? I kind of mentioned that. Runs off MP5 magazines. It is suppressed. This thing gets gassy, and a 9mm direct blowback is pretty thunky, right? It's direct blowback. There's no gas system, so it's not tamed down very well. It does have a magnetically delayed recoil system, so that slightly helps it, but this thing still beats stuff to death. So if something's going to vibrate this guy to pieces, this is it, because this thing shoots really fast and it should vibrate stuff loose if something's going to be vibrated loose. So here's the light. We're going to put it on a Picatinny mount. All right, we're just going to slap everything on here, kind of like, if I can get it to line up on the rails. On the underneath side of here, right, there's a bunch of rails. So these have to line up with the little slots. Make sure I get them all lined up. If I get them lined up, then I'll click it in. Here we go. There we go. So now it's on, and this thing is clear. Bolt does not lock back. The way this design is, the bolt will not lock back, but it is clear. So make sure everything is working. We have a laser. See the laser? All right. And this, again, will be interesting because this suppressor is below this guy. So again, if something's going to vibrate something loose, this is actually a pretty stinking good test, I think. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to do one shot at a time. We're going to zero, I'll pick one of them. We'll zero on one of these targets. Again, this one will be a little bit more scientific than the AR-15. We'll zero on one target, then we're going to rip loose with the rest of the rounds, and then we're going to fire another group at the other target. So we'll try to zero in 15 rounds, fire everything except for the last 15 rounds. We'll come back and fire it at the other one, depending on how well everything zeroes. This should be pretty fun. Let's get it. All right, let's go look at the group. Okay, so here's what we got. I think this is 15 rounds, I think. Some of these might have been out, I'm not exactly sure. We were aiming here on our first round, on our first shot. We shot a little bit over here. We piddled around a little bit and ended up bringing it back up here, and our last like 3 or 4 shots are right here. So maybe at whatever range we're at, I didn't test it, but I'm gonna mark it so we do the exact same spot next time when we confirm zero. But if 0 stays on the right side of the sticker, aiming center, we should be good to go. So now let's shoot a bunch of bullets. Woo, that's gassy. That's pretty spicy. That's got a lot of kickback to it. Very interesting to see how these accuracy results pan out. Alrighty, last 15 rounds. Single shot, not gonna burst these things off. The single shot, we're gonna do the best we can to hold everything still. Whoops, not like that. Hold everything still, try to get 15 rounds in one hole. Whew, this is hot. All right, let's go check it out. All right, so here we go, proof's in the pudding. I'm hoping I did everything correct. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm hoping I didn't somehow do something wrong, because that was a lot of ammo shot over a short period of time that I was very happy to do. I just hope I did everything correct, okay? Everything's mounted as best as I can possibly get it. And this is our results. This is our first group. This sure does seem like a lot more rounds, or a lot less than rounds than this one. But this is our first group. Remember, we were aiming center, and we were hitting just a click, maybe like a click, whoa, that's a term. A ½ inch or quarter inch, whatever, just a little bit to the right. After shooting 200 rounds on fully semi-automatic, we ended up with a group right here. I'm not gonna try to count every single one of these, but given the fact of how tight that group is for what it is, I'm gonna say that that's 15 rounds. And we kept our shift over, right? If you really look at that, that's about 2 fingers, right? Center to group, it kind of moved a little bit to the right, but then it moved up. Okay, now, this is all mounted on a flashlight that is mounted on a quick release kind of thing. That, I mean, you can see that held a group, right? Now, over time, if I did all these rounds on one gun and kept taking like 1,000 rounds, if they want me to do 1,000 rounds and they want to pay for it, that's cool. But 1,000 rounds of shooting, you know, 250 rounds, checking zero, shooting 250 rounds, checking zero, you would have a more data to work with. But what I would say is, yes, this does have a shift. It definitely has a shift. I mean, I can't not say it doesn't have a shift, but there's a shift up, and it's consistent. It went up. I did take off the suppressor. It's a 3-lug, so I took off the suppressor, put more wire pulling gel in it to kind of quiet everything down a little bit, put it back on. That could possibly be an issue. We're about 25 yards away. Point of impact shifts with suppressors, there are variables. So I will say there are some variables that need to be taken into account, but overall we did get a shift up, okay? Now, take with it with a grain of salt. However you want to take this information, take it, do with it what you will. I personally like having the option of a laser. Okay, if I was going to get a dedicated laser for a gun, it would be a dedicated laser, not a light laser combo. For something like a shotgun, it'd be great. For something very close, right? This is close enough, almost fist size. It's just a little bit off for like combat effective. If you're talking about combat effective stuff, if you're shooting competitions, you probably can't use lasers anyway, right? If you're shooting long range, you're not gonna be using lasers. This is for close-up work, right? Close-up stuff. Drilling targets like I was doing at relatively close 15, 20 yards, right? That's kind of where I'm seeing this thing shine. Or maybe if it was to get darker, right? And we were to put this on more of a stout rifle, right? Either or a precision 5.56 or a 30-06 or something like that. This might be able to be a better thing for like 100 yards if you're hunting with it, right? If you're hunting coyotes or doing something like that you can be doing, that would be an option. If this was like an IR laser, right, I could see a lot more use for stuff like that. In general, people don't use a whole lot of lasers in my experience. But then again, I've got some friends that have done some really, really legit stuff, and they use lasers. They use green lasers, actually. So anyway, take this information for what you will. We will wrap this up back at the house, but that's what we got for today, guys. That is the Odin GL. All right, guys, so here we go. We're gonna make sure we say everything that we need to say right here at the end of the video. So obviously I'm wearing different stuff. This is a different day, and I'm making sure I've got everything out there, okay? Let's make sure. The mount that comes with this guy, right, is probably, and I'm not saying this because it's from Olight, but it's probably one of my favorite mounts, okay? I wish that Streamlight and Surefire and folks like that would have mounts like this, or that this would be not accessible, but you'd be able to put your Surefires and Streamlights and stuff on here. I think that'd be awesome. It's a very low profile. You can see this is a very low profile in-lock mount, right? Where if I pull this guy off, he just slips right in here. You can lock it in so it's not going to accidentally come out, and even if you don't lock it in, it's not going to come out unless you push the button, hold the button in, and slide the light out. But if you're worried about stuff, you can lock it in, and it still has a little bit of wiggle to it, which I would probably attribute that little bit of wiggle to the variance in Zero that we saw. There's enough wiggle in there that there's no way that this is going to be a solid locked down aiming system, okay? Not necessarily a knock if you're going for closer range stuff. It is what it is. It is what it is, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. But it comes with this mount. They also sent me, and I was able to utilize their other mount, right? This is the Picatinny mount. This is a nice little mount, same exact concept. I'll just kind of sit it on top here. But the same exact concept as the other light as far as mounting goes, but you have a kind of more options. It may not be as streamlined, but like the way that guy is, because the M-Lock mount really snugs it up really tight, okay? Now, if we move this guy back, now this wouldn't be the best place for it, in my opinion, because we already have this mount and I don't want to take it off right now. But if we take this guy, I gotta find a little slot, open it up a little bit more. I'll show you, here we go, pretty much how this works. And this is what we had on the AR5 thing, whatever it's called. That's what we had on there. and it works very well. It works the exact same way as far as putting your light in and everything. That's good enough for now. But depending on where you mount this guy, right, you can run your light on the side, right, which even that, you see how tight that fits up on here? That's pretty much the same snugness. So I kind of take back what I said just a second ago. If you have Picatinny and you don't have M-LOK, mounting this guy on the side is not a bad option. I do that with this guy, right? The other Olight they sent me. This is the exact same mount, it's just in a different color. And this is where I mount my light, right, on the little pap. It makes everything streamline, and even with the size of this mount sticking up here on this rail, even how low this optic is, if you turn the optic on, and there's no way you're gonna be able to see, but this, you can look through the optic and you don't even see the mount. You can use the irons through the optic, not see the mount, and still use your irons. It works. In my opinion, it works, and it works really well. I have no problems with it. I don't know really why people would have a problem with that, unless stuff starts to come loose somehow, and to me, it hasn't yet. Running it on an AK gas block, right, on an Ultimac gas block, this mount has not come loose. This mount has not had a problem. So people can continue to say what they want to say about Olight. I don't know. To me, it's just it works so far. The other option that you have with, and now I mounted it too close. It's gonna scratch it all up. There you go. And I mounted it up too close. You can also mount this not only on the side, right, but you can mount it on top. And I put it too close over here, and my front sight's in the way. But it would do the same thing. It would slide it back and it would lock on there. So wherever you mount the Picatinny mount, you can mount it this way and this way, right? So you kind of have two options, whereas the M-LOK is just one way, but it snugs it up nice and tight. Apparently, same nice and tight as this guy here, but the mount doesn't stick out as far. See how much this mount like doesn't stick out? Because it's M-LOK, right? It can do that. So anyway, that's the mounts they have for it. I honestly like them. I honestly like them, and again, I honestly wish, wherever my Surefire's at up there, that I could mount my Surefires and my Streamlights to these, because I love that mount. I really actually do. Believe it or not. I don't know, believe it or not. If we haven't already said already, the run times on these things, in my experience, and then again, the experience with this guy here, they're pretty much true to form. Whatever they say on here, in my experience, they're about 10 minutes longer than what they say. All right, you are going to get, at least with a fresh battery, right, and a new battery, not like a year-old battery that you've been using all the time. I don't know, they might wear out after a while. I mean, batteries do that, and we all know that. But what they say on here, so far, that's what you're gonna get. And the fact that you literally get hours, right? You get hours of runtime. I'm gonna pull it up. I did it on, what was it? The high beam with the laser. I got almost 3 hours. I got 2 hours and 57 minutes. High beam with the laser. Obviously, it steps down a little bit. It doesn't keep 1500 lumens or whatever this says. Yeah, 1500 lumens. It doesn't keep 1500 lumens for the entirety of that, but it's usable light, and it's not like some other lights where it dims and dims and dims and dims until it's like a candle flicker and then it just kind of wiggles out. No, you have enough light, and I think it even says on here you ended up with 300 lumens, which 300 lumens back in the day was like the sun. Honestly, right? Technology has come a long way, and it gets down to that, and right before 3 hours, it clicked off with high beam and a laser. So anyway, that's what I got to say about that. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I take back bad things I've said about Olight in the past. They do seem to work so far. Only con I have with them so far is their old tape switches, right? For the original Odin Mini and the Odin. I had the one that was, it didn't work for me, right? They sent me the replacement, all right? And it has worked, but under recoil, it will turn the light on or turn the light off. So far, this guy has a newer upgraded pressure pad, right? Where you have a high and a low. So far, I have not had that problem. Okay, I don't know if that's something that's going to happen over time, or, I mean, it's obviously made slightly different. So I don't know if something in the circuitry or something in the pressure pad or whatever it is, something has changed, and this new pressure pad, in my opinion, is working way better. The simple fact that if you run the pressure pad and something happens, you can easily pop this off and run just your button on the back. I like that. It's kind of a redundancy. It's pretty smart, pretty smart. I think it's pretty smart. And then again, I think I said before, these are not cross-compatible with your old ones. You can't take your old pressure pad and run it on this new Odin, and you can't take your new pressure pad and run it on your old Odin. They're not cross-compatible. Whatever they did differently on the new one, I think is better, and it doesn't work with the old ones, but that's not necessarily a knock. Something else that they sent real quick, it's an option that you have. These are specifically weapon lights, but they sent this little ring that you can basically screw on to your light and kind of turn it into a well, like a whatever it would be called, a ring, whatever, basically, so that you can utilize the light a little bit better. I'm not putting it on right now. I'll put it on real quick. I'll show you real quick. All right, so there you go. This is the light we're talking about, but it works on all the same. This is the smaller, the Odin Mini. So this is where you could utilize this thing. However you're gonna utilize it, as a pistol light, you can switch it around, do your mag reloads and all your kind of fancy things you see people do, and utilize the light like this. And just, it kind of keeps it in your hand. Doesn't have a pocket clip on these, and these aren't really made to carry in your pocket, so use it however you would want to use it, but it's there and they have that as an option, and they sent it to me, so there you go. So I'll try to use it a little bit, but in general, I really like these things as a weapon light, not necessarily as a handheld. That's pretty much it, guys. If you got any questions about this stuff, let me know. Please do let me know. If you got bad comments and like, oh, light and whatever, okay, you can put that down there. It boosts the algorithm. I appreciate it. No skin off my nose. I really don't care. I'm going to keep using these things until I find a legitimate reason to where they fail on me, right? They have a catastrophic malfunction. They have some kind of issue that's like a no-no. So far, I haven't had that problem. Again, the worst thing that's happened is with the old pressure pads, not with the new one yet, but with the old ones, the lights could come on under recoil. Now, the main thing about a light coming on when you don't want it to is you lose your tactical advantage in a legitimate situation. It could get yourself killed. But if you're shooting the gun, you've kind of given away your tactical advantage because you're shooting a gun. And if the light turns on, okay, turn it off, but you're shooting a gun, okay? So it's frustrating, right, whenever it happens. And if this new one fixed that problem, then that's really my main only problem with these things. You can get batteries, not only from Olight, you can get them from different manufacturers out there. I think it's a 21700 battery or something like that, but you can get them out there. So you can get replaceable batteries and you can keep them charged up in your light. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna shut up. That's pretty much it. I appreciate y'all watching, subscribing, and everything. Again, if you got questions, let me know. Olight, thanks for sending this stuff out. I really think it's a pretty good product. It sounds like I sold out, but it is what it is. To me, it's a good product. It is what it is. I'm gonna shut up. Y'all be good to be safe. Hopefully we'll catch you on the next video.